talking about bubble or no bubble, and I should preface this by saying you were in the minority on stage by saying there is no bubble. Yet, Slack has raised money at a $2.8 billion valuation, which is twice as much as it was when we last spoke about a year ago, and you have so much money it would take you 60 years to burn through it, right?
Correct, yes.
So why are we not in a bubble?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into like a semantic-only argument. There will be a correction at some point. We've had a great, like a 7-year run on the public markets. Valuations have been going up very quickly on the private side. Is it going to pop and there's nothing behind it, or will we see an adjustment? And I think you could, even having the prizes of some of these companies are still going to be very strong valuations and represent a lot of growth. Would that have been the bubble popping? I mean, that's I think the argument that I have. There's something behind this.
So.
Well, some of the concerns right now are around companies like Slack that sit at the junction between consumer and enterprise, like Dropbox and Evernote. How do you avoid falling into some of the same traps? Some are related. Some of the concern is related to having to develop a sales force and to focus on selling a product into the enterprise.
Yeah, so we've actually been focused entirely on enterprise. So if you look at our customers, we have sexy tech companies like Airbnb. We also have older institutions like Dow Jones and Wall Street Journal, and a lot of government. We have the FAA. We have the Department of Energy Research Labs. We have the General Services Administration, U.S. Department of State. So we've been avoiding consumer.
Are they adopting it organically, or are you having to sell into these businesses?
Organically. And so we have a pretty large account management team, and they hear from customers after the point where the customer has already been successfully using Slack, and they need, they want to negotiate terms, or their lawyer has an objection to something in our terms of service, and they want their own master services agreement, that kind of stuff.
So there have been concerns that Dropbox, for example, didn't start thinking about a sales force soon enough. I mean, is building a sales force a priority for you?
There is an empirical question about what will be the most efficient way for us to grow. And so my favorite approach would be advertising, just because it's scalable. It's very easy to stop advertising when you need to, and it's very difficult to lay off 250 salespeople. Yeah. And the second choice would be other paid marketing, so conference sponsorships and events, things like that. And then the third choice would be sales. So we don't do, we've been growing 15% a month. Well, because, like I said, it's much more expensive, and it's also much harder to make a change. If you hire 1,000 salespeople, that's 1,000 people that are employees of your company. Like I said, it's an empirical question. We'll see how we grow most effectively. We have been growing historically about 20 or 30% a month, and that's slowed recently to 15% a month. But it's a rate of growth that's difficult for us to keep up with.
So the information, we were speaking with Bill Gurley earlier about this, reported that at Dropbox, we may be seeing the beginnings of a down round where you have mutual funds sort of downgrading the value of their stock. Why won't that happen to Slack? Why won't you fall into that trap? Is that something to worry about?
Well, yes and no. So, I mean, to take money on a specific set of terms, I have to be pretty sure. So in my case, let's say 90, 95% sure that this is a valuation that we can grow into. So people argue sometimes about whether the company is actually worth this much money right now. People make investment decisions based on the future value discounted against the risk that they anticipate. So can this company grow by 10x? Can it grow by 20x? Is there an outside chance it can grow by 100x? What do we think the odds of that are? And therefore, what kind of price are we willing to pay now? So it is, to a certain extent, borrowing against future growth, and we have to be confident that we can hit that. So it is a concern. It's not something that I'm specifically concerned about right now because we have great unit economics. It's 80% gross profit. We're growing revenue 4 times quicker than we're growing expenses. We have $250 million effectively in a checking account waiting to be deployed. So we're in a great position.
Sir, let me ask you about the product. You will be happy to know that the Bloomberg Technology Group is now experimenting with Slack. Good. Is there more you can do to replace email and ensure that you're not simply additive and another kind of collaboration that requires more attention?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think it only works in the places where it either replaces or consolidates other means of communication. So it's not going to replace 100% of your email because people on our teams email to set up this meeting, and that's how meetings like this will get set up forever. Email is great at crossing organizational boundaries, but I think it's a terrible way to communicate internally, and there's a couple reasons for that. One is if no matter who you are in the organization, no matter what your role, you have this tiny little slice, and everything else is opaque to you forever. And the second thing is, when you join an organization that's email-based, you have an empty inbox, despite the fact that there might have been millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of messages exchanged before you got there. Slack will replace that, but it's only going to work if people are actually stopping using other means of communication.
I want to ask you one last question about photo sharing, because you did co-found Flickr. We're seeing, Instagram keeps reporting these incredible numbers. Obviously, Snapchat doing well as well. Facebook dominating, the market overall, and yet Twitter, some would debate, but sort of struggling. Like, how do you see this playing out?
I think it's impossible for me to answer.
I can't share photos on 4 different things every time I share a
and I think we still have maybe like a couple of decades, and that might sound like an exaggeration, but a couple of decades to figure out how we're going to best deal with this stuff, because the technology is just so new. I mean, everyone having a camera with them all the time, the ability to instantly send it to anyone else is 3-5 years old. I mean, it's been around for people like us a little bit longer, but for the mainstream, people only got their first iPhone 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago. They only got their first Android. And it's a brand new capability, and it's a brand new way of interacting socially, so it's going to take a long time to figure it out.
All right, Stewart Butterfield.
I just want to say hi.
Oh my goodness.
Most interesting
It's Jared Leto, everybody.
This is the smartest
Not
guy
quite as Joker here, but
Thank you,
close.
Jared.
in San Francisco. Good to see you.
Why are
Sorry
you
for the
here?
crash. This is like a
Anytime.
whole new photo bomb right here.
What are you investing in right now, Jared?
Well, my best investment, I kid you not, is in Slack. I am a very proud investor and a very proud user of the product. My email list has shrunken by 70%. He has made my company more efficient,
Jared,
and he's made me happier.
Is that the Joker hair, or is that the
Right.
variation?
Are you kidding me? This is pink.
Is this
Joker
Batman?
is
That's
green.
true.
Is this Batman?
I gotta leave.
Thank you.
Wow. I don't think you can beat that.
Nope.